wouldn't say this publicly, of course, but I think both parties would take fifth, for example, if, wow, have you seen how United are playing? And not only that, it's been consistent and there's been no injuries. And look, we're 2 players away and we might actually be proper title contenders.
Jay here, Stretford, Paddock, and this is the Tier 1 podcast. Joining me is an old friend of the channel, Mr. Jamie Jackson. I don't say this lightly, my favourite journalist. How's it going, brother?
Never been better. Look at the sunshine, where we are. What more could you possibly want, apart from maybe a 5-0 win over Liverpool next season?
Oh, yeah, say that. As you can see, we're at Salford Keys. It's delightful. The US tour, right? All good stuff, apart from this injury curse, if you could call it a curse. But we was at the game yesterday.
We were.
For Arsenal versus United, and Højlund scores, goes off with an injury. Lenny Yoro, who we're all keen to see more of, obviously new signing, a lot of hype around him, and rightly so, because he looks a very, very talented young lad. He goes off for an injury as well. What's the latest on then that you're hearing? Because it looked like, is it hamstring for Højlund and ankle for Yoro? Can you tell us any more about
Well, all I can tell you is that the club itself are still assessing.
Yep.
Both of them asked the question a little bit earlier, was told these things take time. Kind of what Ten Hag said yesterday after the game. But the longer there's no information, I mean, listen, it could mean anything, but the more I would be slightly concerned. Of the 2, it's interesting, because of the 2, Yoro looked worse actually at the time. He sort of limped off, if you remember, and Højlund sort of walked off normally. But I don't know if you saw this, but in the mix-on after the game, it was the other way around. Well, actually, Yoro had gone, but Højlund looked like he's walking with a slight limp. So, I mean, not so long after that, Ahmad went down. I thought, here we go for a third player, but obviously he got up okay. But it's a bit of a shame. I was at the game, his debut at Midfield. When was that, like last Saturday week? And he looked good.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, really. I mean, a massive shame. Because obviously you've just alluded to it there, you don't want another sort of cursed season of injury, you know what I mean?
What do you make of it? Because I was chatting to a few of your colleagues and just in general, everyone's chatting and sort of after the game and at half time, and it's like, what's going on here? Is it just bad luck? Is it can't, fitness? Because the Højlund one in particular, here's a kid who went to the Euros.
Yeah.
Didn't play every minute, but played. I think he started every game for Denmark.
Yes.
Played a lot of
of
football. Was asked to do a lot as well. Was all leading the line in the Euros. Was fit. Comes back to United. Plays 30 minutes, whatever it is, and gets injured.
We were all at open training. We were all at open training the day before, and he was sharp as anything.
Yeah.
Nothing happens there. Obviously, he's potting him in, whacking him in. And the goal he scored, sprints down the left, uses his pace and power. So again, no problem there. And then, I don't know really. Just before he went down, there was a challenge. Well, he had a chance, and Ben White sort of put a challenge in, and he sort of put it over Højlund. I don't know whether anything in that, but it didn't happen absolutely at that moment. But this is why he was asked the other day, Ten Hag, in the press conference. What's happened? Do you know why it happened last season? Because you have to know this, right?
Yeah.
If you're the club, they've got Gary O'Driscoll in now as the new head of sports medicine. Being polite, it's not a great start to his sort of new season. I mean, it's not his fault, but if you're going to get 2-3 more of these on the tour, hopefully United don't, then you've got to start thinking, well, what is going on here? Because, all right, you can have one freak season if you like. Obviously, you don't want that, but if it's to continue, so maybe it's just bad luck, stroke timing that it's happened. But I don't know, it just and Yoro, he's 18. He's a young, fit, healthy lad. Again, 45 minutes at Midfield looked really good, in Edinburgh. Ten Hag said afterwards he'd only been doing half of the sessions, basically to sort of safeguard against this sort of thing, I suppose. And then it happens, so I don't know.
It seemed like he was getting managed at the open training because it was like, I think they were talking about he took part in one session, not the other.
That's right. Along with Maguire, Evans, maybe Lindelof. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully by the time we know what's actually happening, they might say available for Wednesday's game, or certainly the one in Carolina. You don't want to hear that they've been sent home. Basically, that's not going to be great, is it?
No, it isn't, and it is a shame, and it is a concern. And like you said, we had this last season where you might put it down to it's just a freak season, like we had under Van Gaal that season when you had like 13 players out or whatever it was, something ridiculous. But then when you get off on this sort of wrong foot in pre-season again, because last pre-season a lot of the questions were around the amount of games and the amount of travelling, and it was like, it looked quite a packed schedule. It's not quite as packed this time around, is it?
And maybe that was a reason for what happened last season, what you just described happened last summer, where they were sort of, what was it, New York, San Diego, Houston, San Diego, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Ericsson actually went on the record, didn't he? After that, at the time, sort of saying there's probably too much travelling. Christian Eriksen.
Yeah.
I did a story. I can't remember September time. It came from, let's say, within the inner circle. Players that were sort of saying, look, the training's been too hard.
Yeah.
Kind of exhausted, or we're concerned about it. I don't know. Let's just wait and see. But I think you would be fair enough to think that if there's another couple on Wednesday, and hopefully not, something's up, right? And then you start to say, well, what have you done to assess this summer? Since O'Driscoll's come in, the new head of sports medicine. What's happened there? Well, what have you actually found out? Because it seems to be happening again.
Because it does feel like United are sort of getting the house in order, if you can call it that, in terms of backroom staff. We've seen obviously Ruud van Nistelrooy and Haken come in, one or two others. It's like the structure, obviously, with Dan Ashworth, with Jason Wilcox, and then you've still got this weird thing with injuries. Just on injuries as well, if I may. Tyrone Malacia didn't come on the tour. There's question marks about left back. Harry Amasa, I thought, did very well, by the way.
He did,
against Arsenal. What's going on with the fullback situation? I'm going to broaden that, because we've been linked with Denzel Dumfries. We've been linked with the kid from Bayern Munich, Nasser Mazraoui.
Yes.
It looks like we're trying to get rid of Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
In some way, either selling him to West Ham, or a swap deal has been mooted as well. What do you think is going on with the fullback situation?
At the moment, I think you mentioned them all, maybe apart from Luke Shaw, there's 5 fullbacks at the club, right?
Yeah.
Sort of front line. 4.5, because I think Amas has got a good chance, right? Yeah. So let's call it 5. But the problem they've got is they don't think all of them are good enough, especially Wan-Bissaka, but they can't buy another one without generating some cash. Yeah, generating some cash, really. So Wan-Bissaka is the sort of odd player out. Luke Shaw, Ten Hag, it was interesting. It was in the summer, I think he said it. He mentioned about Luke Shaw saying because of the really bad injury he had, the double break of the leg against PSV, I think it was.
Yeah.
He can never play, I think he said sort of 2 or 3 games a week or something. Do you remember he said that?
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised. Not that that's true, but they actually sort of said that publicly. So anyway, there's a concern there. He's injury prone. There's no other way. So, they are after a right full back, but you then look at the left back, as we talk about. Malacia, I don't know if it's a setback. It was denied by the club. It's just he'd been treated differently by staying at home. But if you cast your mind back, there have been other players, I can't remember exactly who, come on tour and continue the rehabilitation to be with the group and sort of part of the whole team spirit thing. A bit surprised. I don't know. He was out all season. I think the last time he ever played for United was in the last game of the previous season.
Yeah.
So he missed all last season, basically.
No, because like you're saying there, Luke Shaw, I think he's missed half the games over the last 5 seasons. I think it is his actual record.
Right, is that what it is? Right,
yeah, I think it's about, he has missed literally half the games. Obviously, I think he's last played 90 minutes for Manchester United in February, if memory serves. He obviously went to the Euros, wasn't fit for 2/3 of it or 3/4 of it.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a question mark with Luke Shaw, I get that. There's now a question mark with Tyrone Malacia, and what worries me a little bit as well is this focus on the right back situation, ignoring left back. Harry Mas, great young player. I'd hate to see him get burnt into the ground because he's getting rushed in if and Luke Shaw
I was sort of going to go on to say, I hope they're not looking at Dallo and thinking that's a bit of a sticking plaster because he can sort of play left back and muddle through with that. So I think it's a cash thing. I think they would probably, in an ideal world, will look at left back. It might end up that, I don't know, they decide to go for a left back, as the number one priority in terms of the sort of fullback position. But Luke Shaw reminds me a little bit of Paul McGrath situation or Ledley King at Spurs, where sort of boutique defender everyone knows is a really good player, and he's sort of sort of, those players only played a little bit, but were always considered,
training regimes different.
Exactly,
it's like almost, I think at one point, Ledley King didn't even train. I think
exactly.
Thrown into the
Capello took King to the World Cup a bit like, when he was sort of half what we're talking about. But you don't really want that, do you, obviously?
No.
I don't know. So this is one of the things that they're sort of grappling with. Because they also want a defensive midfielder. Ugarte, I think, is high on the list, a PSG player. Looking at Collier, who obviously plays in that position, it's difficult to tell, isn't it?
Yeah. He's done well so far.
Did okay, yeah. Certainly didn't do badly. But this fullback thing. Going back to Wan-Bissaka, we were having a conversation yesterday. If I had to choose between him and Dallo, I'd go Wan-Bissaka. I think as a defender, it's just better than Dalot, but people are saying, and I take the point that he can't really attack as well. There's a couple of examples as I was sort of arguing his case where he gave the ball away yesterday. I don't know really, but the FA Cup final, he did really well against Doku, didn't he?
I think I bore everyone with my love for Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, okay, I thought when you smiled then, I thought you were laughing.
No, I was smiling because I love Wan-Bissaka, and I'm of the opinion the FA Cup final, the Carabao Cup final when he came on at half time against Alan Saint-Maximin. Yeah. The fact
he's got pace as well. You haven't got loads of pace at the back. You know what I mean? Hopefully that'll improve with Yoro, but I don't know. I just feel.
Do you feel there is real interest in a right back because
yes,
well, it looks like
as it stands, it's been a right.
Forward.
Yeah, as it stands, it's the right back that's a priority, and that's why this left back thing is a bit of a.
But could you see that happening then? A left back perhaps being looked at?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely look at it. It's just whether they can do the deal somehow. I mean. Maguire, for example. I'm not saying if Maguire is sold, they go for a left back, but players like that are sort of potentially up for sale. So I'm just trying to think where they get the cash from.
Yeah.
Him and Lindelof, both sort of, maybe both of them would go. But then, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about Martinez, who's a really very good player, but he's been a little bit injury prone again, hasn't he? So is there a concern there?
Well, for him injury-wise,
towards the end of the last one as well, which again is not his fault. So there are all these issues. So then you go all the way back to what we're talking about. And this Euro and Højlund thing is just a bit of a shame, really. I mean, as we've said, hopefully it'll be a non-event. Just be like, this game or next game or whatever. But I don't know. You haven't got pots of cash like normal, because you just get the feeling you've had pots of cash like, say, under a Solskjaer or Mourinho. With Ashworth and Ratcliffe, you'd like to think it would be spent a bit better.
Yeah.
But sadly, that sort of moved on from there, hasn't it?
No, it has. You mentioned there, Ugarte. Is that still a target? You still see that one? Because it seems to have gone a little bit quiet compared to a couple of weeks ago, where there was you felt like it was almost any day now. Yeah. But United's still trying to make
I think so. I think he does want a defensive midfielder, because if you look at that position in your team or squad, Casemiro's not getting any younger. No. So who is it? Who is the defensive midfielder? Is it McTominay? I don't think so.
They've not gone back in for Amrabat, have they? It seems like that's all.
Well, that might be the fallback. That might be why they haven't. Try to see if they can get someone else
but
ahead.
If not, could you see Sofyan Amrabat coming back?
How mad was Amrabat towards the end of last season? Suddenly he was like amazing. The FA Cup final.
The FA Cup final, mate. If I had my way, him and Wan-Bissaka would be getting lifelong contracts because of that performance.
Where'd that been beforehand?
I know, it was strange, wasn't it? Against such a good team.
Exactly.
As well. You're up against Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, and Kovacic, who I actually think is a good player as well. And you just dominated.
So I feel a little bit for Amrabat, because he basically had that half a season as trial, right? He came on loan, and it was only, I'm not going to say he messed it up, but he didn't do very well, and then he did do very well. But whether that was enough, it doesn't seem. But maybe that is going to be the fallback option.
So when you're a man like me and you're chilling by the marina and you've got the lovely sea breeze wafting through your, what was I going to say, hair, through your eyebrows, you don't want your nether regions being a bit clammy, being a bit grim, not really feeling that nice. Well, thankfully, Manscaped have got you covered, and using the code Paddock Tour, you can get 20% off and free shipping, because Manscaped have brought out the Performance Package Ultra 5.0 with the Lawnmower 5.0 and the 2 interchangeable skin-safe blades. So not only can you enjoy the nice sea breeze, you can feel it as well, because you're all looking fine down there. You're all trimmed. It's all lovely. Plus, it smells nice, because you've got the toner, you've got the crop preserver, the ball toner, you've got all that good stuff as well. You've even got the weed whacker, so your nose and ear hair can be gotten rid of as well. So that's all smooth. So everything's smooth. It smells nice, it looks nice, and it feels nice. And it's all thanks to Manscaped. I know what you're thinking, oh, Jay, but you know what? Oh, I like a bit of Manscaped. Where am I going to put all these goodies? Don't worry, you've got the shed travel bag to put it all in as well. You've got the boxer brief, you've got everything. You've got everything you can want, and you've got 20% off, and you've got free shipping. All you've got to do is use the code Paddock Tour. There's even a link in the description, so you just click on it. It is that easy, and once you get it, it is so easy to make yourself look and feel great, so you can fully experience this lovely sea breeze. And if you're not anywhere near the sea breeze, you might be at home, sat home watching your telly and everything, you want to feel nice and smell nice there as well. And thanks to Manscaped, you can. So use the code Paddock Tour, click on the link, get your Ultra 5.0 performance package, get your Lawnmower 5.0, get your weed whacker, get your crop preserver, your ball toner, get your shed travel bag, get your boxer briefs, get all that good stuff. Thanks to Manscaped, they have got you covered, and your balls and your better half will thank you this summer. Just on Erik ten Hag as well, and
yes,
sort of his expectations and maybe the pressure he is under or he's not under. You did an article a few days ago speaking about that. Where do you think he needs to finish? Do you think Ineos are looking at it going like, okay, you've got that 1 year extension, if you can call it that, where it's sort of, you know, they took that option on his contract. Has he got to get Champions League? Has he got to finish top 4? Right. Is that the be all and end all?
It's not the be all and end all. Let me just be clear. Both this is ten Hag, and Ineos, whatever you want to call it, Ratcliffe, etc., want as high as possible. Of course they do.
Yep.
But what they really, they would probably, they wouldn't say this publicly, of course, but I think both parties would take 5th, for example, if, wow, have you seen how United are playing? And not only that, it's been consistent, and there's been no injuries, and look, you know, we're 2 players away, and we might actually be proper title contenders. So, but obviously the 2 are related in a way, because if what I'm just describing occurs, then you probably will end 3rd or 4th. Because, but what I was told was that's a more important thing. It's not they want to see firm evidence, consistent evidence that the club is going to develop a solid sort of base, a foundation.
Okay.
You know, like other top clubs where you look at Real Madrid. It doesn't really matter to a certain extent who the players are, because, you know, season in season out, because they've got a core and they've got a sort of, you know, just a sort of way of winning. And whoever the coach is, they might have a season where they don't win the Liga or Champions League, but, you know, they're always in the shake-up, and that's basically what they want. It sounds obvious, but so, you know, I was surprised when I was told that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's interesting. But, you know, as I say, don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone has said to Ten Hag, look, you know, just finish 7th and we'll be happy. Not all. It's the other way around. But I think that's sensible, because you know, Ratcliffe's actually said on the record it could take 2 or 3 years, right? So Jim Ratcliffe has said that. So if he's saying that on the record, why would any conversations be different behind the scenes with regard to, look, this is what's really important to us? You know, obviously we want to finish as high as possible, but it's about actually looking like a proper, solid football club stroke team that, you know, most matches you might win you might lose games, but wow, that was good. That's impressive. You can see what's going on here.
Yeah, because it's difficult, because I agree, as a United fan, I want us to be in that Champions League. I expect us to be in the Champions League as a minimum, really.
I think you will be, by the way.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember we winning everything. So sort of what City, what they're doing, and to a lesser degree Arsenal and Liverpool, and you think, come on, man, we should be in those conversations.
Defo.
But then you look at next season, Arsenal, City, you'd fancy them in the top 4. Liverpool, new manager, they've still got a decent squad. Spurs under second season under Postecoglou, Villa under Emery, Chelsea, if they ever get their act together, they've spent so much money. So it's not easy, is it, to sort of get into that top 4, even if you're getting your act together yourselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because you go through those clubs there. I agree with you about City and Arsenal, but at Liverpool, I'm interested to see what happens, because they've got a new manager. Who knows? I mean, they've got some amazing players, but the Klopp factor. You know, they weren't expected to sort of challenge last season, were they? But he got them together, and he's, you know, and sort of the players he brought in, bedded in. I cannot wait to see how it goes with Liverpool, because I've got a feeling they might be a little bit off the pace.
I hope you're right.
Well, no, of course you do. And I mean, Chelsea, I don't know. I mean, they lost 4-1 to Celtic. Yes, they can't read too much into that. It was quite a hilarious result, right? Who else? Spurs. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if Postecoglou is a bit like Emperor's New Clothes. It's sort of a lot. You know, he sort of got this sort of blokey, sort of personable.
I think.
But I'm just thinking, actually, wait a minute. What, you know?
I know they lost Kane, but I think it was very much like a Spurs season.
Yeah. Exactly.
What they did was they did really well for a bit.
Yeah.
Then they tailed off. Then players that they over-reliant on got injured. Then towards the end of the season, there was some disappointing performances and results. And it just felt like we've seen all this before. Yeah, I mean,
it should be forgotten. There's only 3 clubs won something last season, and Manchester United were obviously one of them. And also Spurs and Chelsea were probably killed for 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's Ten Hag's record, right? So, you know, let's not. Just me. I don't get sucked into this. Oh, he's. You know, I think he knows what he's doing. Let's see this season. But this structure is designed to support and help him, give him the best platform. He's not had it. United haven't really had what's supposedly the real deal. Let's see if it is the real deal. What'll be interesting is, we've seen a little bit of a glimpse of it on tour, this sort of Sir Dave Brailsford, Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox core, and then, which is obviously Ineos. Then you've got Ten Hag, who's on the other side and who's basically had his job sort of, let's say, touted round.
Yeah.
You know, let's see if this is going to work. Hopefully it will. Hopefully both sides are intelligent enough to understand, look, you know, that's happened. Forget about it. Let's show how big and smart and grown up we actually are, and use that to sort of like, because, you know, it's key. What'll be interesting maybe it won't happen. But let's say, United lose the first couple of games. One of them's Liverpool, I think. It's only 2 games, but you know what I mean. Of course, from vagabonds like me in the media, the questions might be asked. But internally, will it be like, look, don't let's just carry on, because I think that's needed. But the thing with this Ineos thing is, it's like anyone who goes into United. Until you've been in United as a manager or a player, you just haven't got a clue what it's like. And how do I know that? Well, I've not been a manager or player, but I've observed both parties. It's a different thing. It's not like, a French club like they also own. It's just not.
Well, I remember a wise man who's not that far away from here a few years ago, many years ago, actually saying to me, as a United manager, you can only be three defeats away from losing your job. Like that, I think that you might have said that to me when Jose was manager, I think.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Yeah, so there's always that pressure, and especially the season he had last season, like you mentioned, a weird one in the sense that we won a trophy, fantastic, and the way we won it, beating Liverpool on the way, beating City in that final.
As a fan, was it not sweeter that you won a trophy after such a nightmare of a season?
Everything about that trophy win was amazing. Knocking Liverpool out and ending the Klopp sort of, farewell tour. The City result and the performance, which was a great performance, it wasn't a smash and grab for me. That was a great performance.
I agree.
And like you said, I'd watched so many bad games under Erik Ten Hag last season. I still stuck with him, but the Bournemouth game, the Fulham game, the Paddock game, I don't need to go on. You covered them all. Everything about it was just amazing. I loved it, and I think from a fan point of view, we noticed a shift on the channel as well in terms of our viewers. It seemed that whilst there's always been a lot of support for him, I don't blame people looking at a club in 8th going, this guy's not up to it. That result and performance, the way we won that trophy, seems to shift a lot of it, where the vast majority of people I interacted with were like, keep him.
You see, again, this might sound a bit cheesy. I'm not a fan of Manchester United, but my son is. But that for me is how sort of like the X factor of Manchester United, in that even when you're kind of like people are laughing, non-fans, they'll look at down in 8th, you still sort of win the FA Cup.
Well, I'd have took that over finishing
nice,
5th.
That's a nice thing to have in your back pocket. You know what I mean?
I'd have took that over finishing 5th and
I'm glad to hear
not winning a trophy.
I'm glad to hear it, because a lot of, and it's up to them, but a lot of fans say, well, maybe it's not fans actually, but owners seem to want the money in the top 4. No one remember in 10 years' time that Spurs played quite well last season. No, they just don't. I mean,
we finished second under Jose, under Ole. Yeah, we didn't have that moment that you had in that FA Cup final, that memory.
Good goal as well, wasn't it? It was a great goal.
Mate, I was getting emotional when he scored. You just see him scoring that goal. The kid who's come through the academy. I know. And it exceeded everyone's expectations to do it like in the manner he did. Just finally, Jay, how do you assess the sort of mood around at the minute? You're in the press conferences, you're chatting to Erik Ten Hag, you've seen Dan Ashworth was open training, they're all there. Do you think there is a real positivity? Do you feel you're buying into that? Because it's easy to see this and go, we see this every summer, but do you feel that everyone is on the same page? And
I think at the moment, I think there's a real determination to be on the same page. I think Ineos are here at your club to win. I think you will win properly. I mean, like the league, and certainly get very close to Champions League in time. Maybe not next season. And I think if you're Ten Hag, and I think he does recognise this, you've got to recognise, wait a minute, this is the best chance this club's had since Ferguson of actually, winning again. And I do, I've talked to, as part of the whole group or separate, I've talked to quite a lot of players, staff. The cuts weren't great, for morale, obviously, because it is a sort of family club, Manchester United, which is one of the nice things about having worked in and around the place for years. But yeah, to answer your question, I do think there's a real positivity. You need to win to keep that going, but we have been here before, but it was always a little bit more piecemeal. Mourinho comes in, that's a great, it's Jose Mourinho, but wait a minute. All due respect, Edward Woodward is still running the club. That's not great. You haven't got that anymore. You've got like these people, and maybe the signings. I don't know how good Xerxes is. I hear different things about him. I've got to be honest, but Euro on a very, very small sample size seems decent, and that's an Ashworth / Barada sign. That's a good start. Let's see where the summer goes, but 1 year it's going to happen, isn't it? You're not going to get back to kind of where they belong. So why can't it be this one?
Why can't it be this one indeed? Jamie, always a pleasure. Go and check out Jamie Jackson's writing in The Guardian.
And the Substack.
In fact, there you go. Look at this. Jamie Jackson, go and check out his Substack. There's a link in the description there. Make sure you check it out. And obviously, he'll be covering the tour as well as we are. For the next stop is San Diego, isn't it? So it's San Diego, and then it's on to South Carolina. So this has been a Tier 1 interview with Jamie Jackson from The Guardian. I've been Jay Moy. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.